Today we're going to talk about characters attacking NPCs or mobs, and when we talk about that, we're talking about hitboxes and hurtboxes. Hitboxes is the area where your character will strike the other the mob, and hurtbox is the one that receives damage. So hitboxes is giving damage, hurtboxes is receiving damage, and we're going to start by adding an attack move. And the way we do that is going to have to do a little bit of animation. So for that, we're going to need an animation player. So we're going to start by creating three things. An animation, so add a child node of an animation player. And then a child node of the hitbox, which is going to be area 2D, which we've done that previously. And then inside the area 2D, we need to add a child of a collision shape 2D. So inside the collision shape 2D on the right, we're going to make this just a box, rectangle, and we're going to move it off of this guy, so put him over to the right. And I'm going to just shape it down a little bit. It's not really that important exactly where it is. Obviously, this is going to be something that you can play with, right? This can be whatever you want it to be. But I'll put mine right there. And okay, so now we have a collision shape 2D, and we have this animation player. So if I go on animation player, you can see this animation tab at the bottom. That pops up. I want to create a new animation by clicking on that and clicking new. And that gives me a new animation. I'm going to call it melee, just for the sake of keeping things clear. This is going to be a melee attack. All right, so now I've got this recording, and on the right it says animation player in the inspector, but I want to be able to reference, see all these little keys that just showed up? These are all a part of the animation player, and they're all keyframes. So if you hover over it, well, it's basically each one of these little key icons are representative of an action that can happen in a timeline. So over here, I'm going to actually put this. It's already set to 1 second. So if I play this, nothing happens, but it plays for a second. All right, hit stop, and it starts at the beginning again. So what I want to do is I want to go to collision shape 2D, and then I want to say there is a disabled. So I'm going to turn disabled on, and I'm going to add a keyframe. Right now my line is right here, and this is going to add a keyframe at this point where the line is. So I click this keyframe, and it says, you know, do you want to do this? And I say yes, but I don't want to reset. So I'm going to hit create, and now I've got this disabled, and now I can bring this up to 0.1, and I can, and if this isn't looking like this to you, you can like make it shrink or expand until it kind of gives you kind of what you're looking for, where 1 is on the right side and 0 is on the left, so that this is basically showing the time. This is 0.1 of a second, this is 0.5. So if I shrink it down a little more, now I've just got 0.1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So, and it's not really important where exactly you put this. This is just, you know, you want to start with this disabled, and then it goes to we put a check mark on this, and then we put another keyframe there, and now it's enabled. So now I can move it over to, I think I'm just going to move it to 0.6, and then I'm going to say disabled again, and I'm going to hit the keyframe. And so now I've got that and that and that. And I'm going to change my length. This right here is this little clock icon. This is the number of seconds. I'm going to change my length to 0.6 because it doesn't really matter. Maybe 0.7. Oh, 6.5. 6.5. So, so now I've got this animation, and if you play this animation, let me stop it first. You should see this thing change color. See, it changed to on and off. So that was the attack, and during that time is whenever you would have, yeah, for some reason if you hit play and hit play again, oh, there it is, it does work. So so now we've got this wired up here. The next step is to set up so that it actually does something, right? So actually, oh, the other thing we could do, and let's go ahead and look at this in our game. So if we go to project, go to sorry, debug, and under here there's a visible collision shapes. This is whenever you play your game, you'll be able to see the collision shapes. So now, if I do this, you see a little box there. It's a collision shape. Now, we next thing we could do is to create a key that we use to actually trigger this. So if I go to project and I go to project settings, then we want to go to input map. And this is where we had our other commands. We've done this before in a previous video, but we're going to go over here. We're going to add a new action. Actually, I've already added it. So if I delete it real quick. All right. So if I add a new action, attack, and I click the add button, and then under here I hit plus, and this gives me this thing, and I can just hit my space bar and that will recognize that as the key, and then I hit OK. And so now I've just added that to my input map. I deleted it and added it back, but you get the point of how to do that. And so now we have this, we want to wire this up so that we want to wire up our area 2D. Oh, we also want to let's rename this to hitbox so we don't get confused what this is, because we've got another area 2D over here. Oh, we have another collision shape anyway. We've got two collision shapes. This way we can say this area 2D is actually the hitbox. And so then, okay, so we want to select our area 2D hitbox, and then in the inspector we want to go to the node tab. And we want to select the signals. There's two tabs underneath the node tab. There's signals and there's groups. And we want to connect a signal. The signal we want to connect is area entered. And we want to right click on this, click connect. And then whenever we do this, we want to connect it. The default thing that's being highlighted for me is the character body 2D. That's what you want to have, make sure that that's what's selected, and hit connect. And this is going to create a method called on area 2D hitbox area entered. And it will actually pop it into your script. Assuming you've already created a script there, which if you're at this point, if you've been following along, you do. And then this creates this method right here. And it compiles, and so now we can just, so inside of here, what we want to say is if area dot has method underscore method, there's that. And the name of the method is, and we're going to create this method, it doesn't exist now, but take damage. So if that exists, then colon, and you notice it's red until I actually finish typing the thing, but don't worry about that. And then I have another if area, oh, sorry, the first one is not right. That was wrong. What I want to do is if area, I'm going to copy this. This is going to be the second if. The first if is if area is in group, and these are like built-in methods. Has method and is in group are built-in methods of part of the area 2D. What this is saying is that whenever this collides with another area 2D, then on that other area 2D, I'm going to do some stuff. I'm going to check. I'm going to see if it's in group, hurtbox, and then if it has method take damage, then area dot take damage. All right, so that's what it's basically going to do. So we're basically saying, so, and then we're going to do an else there too, just for the sake of else. Print. This is just a log to say area does not have take damage method. Okay, so this is where we can, all right, so basically, and we don't need the pass. This pass is just something that you need to keep there in case you don't have any other code, otherwise it'll be red. So everything has to have a representation of something in the body of the function. So now what we have is we have this method that's going to automatically call on the character body 2D. We're on the character body 2D player script, and it's saying that whenever anyone enters this area, this thing gets triggered. And but if it's not in group, it's not going to do. If it's not in the group of hurtbox, it's not going to do anything at all. So the next thing we want to do is to you know what we can do? We can actually look at this attack. Oh no, we need to wire up the attack key, right? So we haven't wired that up yet. So right now we're going to do underneath these other if statements in the physics process where we had set up our other left, right, up, and down keys. We're going to say if input dot is action pressed, and then we're going to say, as you can see, it auto-completes. It gives me some options here. Attack is the one that I want, and then we say colon, and then inside of that we say, and this is where we want to grab our animation player. So we got this animation we created, our animation player, and it was called melee. So if we go to my animation player real quick. Oh, here. I'll just do that for now so it compiles. Okay. So now if I go into, if I select animation player and I go to animation, we have this animation called melee right here. So I'm going to say animation player dot play melee. It even knows it. See, it recognized it, auto-completed. So now, so now I can actually play this. Save real quick, and you should see that whenever I hit spacebar, this thing does the turn on and off again. So now that's wired up, and we've also wired up to trigger this to actually send a signal to the other mob through this. It's actually going to be able to call a function on the other mob. So let's do the other one then. So let's find the other. Also, if you, yeah. The scenes are down here if you lose sight of a scene and don't close it or forget where it is. So we're going to go to our NPC scene. I'm going to go back to 2D for a minute. I don't know if it matters. But for now, we're going to just look at this. And so we're going to say, well, we want to create another area, another child node on here. And this is going to be an area 2D. Area 2D. Inside of that area 2D, we're going to have a child node of a collision shaped 2D, just like we did before. So this is going to be, the area 2D is going to be the hurtbox, and the collision shaped 2D is just going to be another rectangle or whatever. I'm going to do a rectangle just for the sake of, we go to the inspector, because it's a box, just for the sake of having it be internally consistent, the naming mechanism and stuff. I mean, the hurtbox doesn't have to be a box, obviously, but I'm going to make mine into a box, and it's not really important if, you know, this has to do with where you want it to be. Sometimes you might have a game where someone's like, an enemy is invulnerable except in one spot or something like that, and you can do what you want with it, but I'm just going to put this right here. So now that we have this, the area 2D hurtbox, what we want to do is we want to go to node, select the area 2D hurtbox, go to node, and in here we want to select groups, and this is where it was talked about group, and so we want to call this group of hurtbox. So type hurtbox, we're just creating it here, and we say add, that just adds a group of hurtbox there. So now if I play and I'll walk over to where my guy here is, you can see when I interact with it, I get the error message, area does not have take damage method. Well, why does it say area doesn't have take damage method? Well, because we didn't implement that function in the code yet, right? But you can see, actually, if I, yeah, so for some reason, it's when I walk around automatically, it starts with it on, and I might have to change the setting of that to be off. Actually, I think I should. I think if I go in, okay, so if I go back into the, into my character body 2D, if I look at my hitbox and I go to my inspector, you can see that this is not, wait, where'd the disable go? Oh, it's a collision shape. Collision shape 2. So disabled is okay, it does say disabled is on. For some reason it wasn't disabled. So there might be something else I'm missing there, but in any case, so if we go to so right now we're at the point where we want to make this function so that we can use it. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is where we want to create a function in the Area2D hurtbox. So I'm going to create a script here and create that, load that, and none of this really matters. Oh, look at that. It just automatically created that take damage function. And so we can just now, so now it seems to indicate that it knows that we should have had that function. That's fascinating. So it just did that automatically. So there's a take damage function. So if I now hit play, and it has print damage taken. So if I, oh no, I think that I have forgotten to delete this. This was here before. Yeah, I think that's what happened. Sorry. So you wouldn't have this normally. So if you type func, it would look like this, and you could just type func for function, and then take underscore damage, and then colon, and then oops, it's not colon. Colon, and then print, and then damage taken. So now, whenever I play and I hit spacebar, and then I walk over here, oops, and I get stuck. Oops. Okay, let's get over here. Let's try to get him to walk in the right place. Of course, you got to be able to be better at playing video games than I am. So there it says, damage taken. So now, I should have left the box on, but there you go. Damage taken. So now this triggered, so that's, the next step is going to be to turn this into some kind of a damage mechanism that's going to cause some kind of consequence whenever the mob takes damage. But for now, that's all we're doing for this week. All right, thanks. Hope you have a good week.